Good afternoon. It's Friday the 23rd of August 2024, just after 1 o'clock. Welcome to UK Column News. I'm your host, Mike Robinson. Joining me by video link today, we have Debbie Evans and Mark Anderson. Now, we're going to get kicked off with online safety and censorship. And the great news that Ofcom has decided to begin its recruitment process once again. Now, of course, we all know that, don't we, that online misinformation fueled hateful riots across the country. Their words, not mine. So we all know as well that the Online Safety Bill became an act in October last year. In the run-up to that royal assent being given, Ofcom had hired 300 staff to deal with the online safety. They're now in the process of recruiting a further 100 staff. But as you can see on screen there at the moment, they are committed to protecting free speech without hate speech. So I don't know what we're all complaining about. Anyway, this is what they had to say. In recent years, we've grown our expertise in technology, data and cybersecurity. We've hired specialists from firms such as Meta, Google and Amazon, and experts from bodies like the NSPCC. So the companies that are going to be responsible for censoring us all under the auspices of the Online Safety Act are providing the staff to Ofcom for the process. This is, Debbie, very, very briefly, this is very similar, it seems to me, to the MHRA.
I'm honestly, Mike, can we discuss this in extra? Because I've got quite a lot to say about this, seriously.
Absolutely. No, of course, anyway, the other sort of big agenda item that Ofcom is pushing at the moment is the Media Act. It was the Media Bill. It's now the Media Act. It has been since May. So this got passed just before the general election. So this, of course, is what they're describing as the biggest change to public service media framework in 2 decades. So this is all about not only protecting mainstream media and so on, but making sure that smaller providers aren't able to compete in any kind of way. So this is, again, what they said. The Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport has laid the first commencement regulation before the UK Parliament, bringing certain provisions into force on Friday the 23rd of August. These regulations are used to bring specific parts of an Act of Parliament legally into force on a specific date. This first commencement order will allow us to continue our implementation plans. And this is what a couple of the items that they have on their list. They are preparing for their new duties for video on demand services, including reviewing their audience protection measures. So video on demand service would be the likes of YouTube or any other sort of video service like that. But if you remember back to 2013, 2014, Ofcom, through their subsidiary, the Authority for Television on Demand, was attempting to claim that smaller video producers were video on demand services. So we'll see how this pans out in the coming weeks and months. They say that they'll continue to develop the processes for designating the services which will be in scope for the new rules, as I've just mentioned, to ensure online PSB services are both available on popular TV platforms and capable of being easily found and discovered by audiences. So they want to make sure that the likes of BBC, iPlayer and so on, the content that's on there is not only easily available on the various big video on demand platforms, but that on search engines and so on, that content that's hosted perhaps on iPlayer itself is easy to find, because that is the most important thing, isn't it? But I wanted to highlight this article in Conservative Homes as well. This is from Miriam Cates, former Tory MP. She was until the general election. We should not defend extreme online discourse in the name of free speech, she argues. She does, however, make a couple of interesting points that I just want to highlight to see whether people want to think about them. She said, before the internet, anonymous communication was seen as cowardly and underhand. Poison pen letters and even the famous anonymous pamphlets of the 18th century were illegal. What we observe all too often in social media is a pre-civilizational and anarchic free-for-all where liars, psychopaths and common and garden dickheads, her words, operate freely and without penalty, and where individuals do not face the normal consequences of speech, offline at least, make it socially and financially costly to be insulting and predatory and antisocial. She says the best answer to online chaos is a deeply conservative one, the rediscovery of personal responsibility. The future of online freedom of speech depends not on an absence of regulation, but on our collective willingness to embrace the traditional values of kindness, honesty, and self-control in our new virtual public sphere. Well, the question is, in the general context of the article as a whole, is she arguing that people need to be brought out of their shells? They may want to bring in some kind of legislation which enforces the requirement to provide your identity online. And of course, as we were mentioning on Wednesday's programme, this is something that Ofcom is already recruiting for with respect to identity checks and age verification and so on. But where does this take us? Because she's suggesting that people that are out in the open are somehow in a better position, or it's a better place to be. Well, is it? Because look at this article from the BBC. Conspiracy theorist granddad jailed over disorder. This is absolutely incredible. It's quite incredible also that the journalist is apparently called Oli Constable, because they're talking about abuse against the police. But anyway, this person, we'll just look at a couple of the comments that they make in this article. A conspiracy theorist who abused police when an anti-immigration protest turned violent has been jailed. Now, you might ask, how did he abuse the police? Was he violent himself? Well, no. He said that police officers, MPs and the media were corrupt. He was holding a sign up and he was shouting at the police. So this is Peter Lynch. He's 61 years old and he's now been sentenced to 2.5 years, 2 years and 8 months, and is heading off to prison. He shouted allegedly racist and provocative remarks towards officers and called asylum seekers child killers. This might be, quite strong speech, but it is only speech. He wasn't throwing rocks. At least there's no evidence to suggest that he was. That's certainly not what he's been convicted of here. He was filmed calling the police scum. Really, sticks and stones will break my bones comes to mind here. Are we really now going to put people in prison for 2 years, 8 months for yelling the word scum at the police? This is getting beyond a joke. He was described as being a full participant in the disorder. You were unquestionably endeavouring to rev up the situation the best you could, said the judge, Judge Richardson. And the placard stated that police chiefs, reporters, civil servants, judges and the environment agencies were all corrupt. I mean, this is quite incredible. And then I just want to highlight somebody else who's been arrested here, and that is Sam Nass, who has featured on the UK column a couple of times in interviews with Brian. So she was trafficked into this country and then had her children taken by the state. Arrested yesterday, apparently bailed. We'll find out more in due course about what's actually happened here, but she was simply quietly protesting over the removal of her children outside the Cabinet Office. And finally, I'll just coming back to the so-called race riots and the imprisonment of magistrates are apparently being told to stop jailing offenders to ease the prison crisis. This isn't actually quite true. The headlines are misleading. At least what they've been asked is to delay the sentencing. If somebody is safe to be bailed, then to delay the sentencing to later in September until they've had a chance to release a whole bunch of prisoners from the UK prisons to make room for the new people going in. This is a very dangerous situation and quite incredible.